So today we are still in Deserving Mind Petal, Module 3, Radical Self-Love. I hope you're ready. Let's start with this. Why is self-love so important? And I want to remind you how when you're flying in an airplane, the stewardess says, put your oxygen mask on first. Why is it? Why do you have to do that first? So first of all, self-love protects you from attracting wrong people. So that's right away. And in fact, I want to tell you that often we are attracted to the narcissist because what we want to learn is how they are loving themselves. And that could be attractive. Okay, does it make sense? So when you're already loving yourself, that attraction towards narcissists is just going to completely dissolve. It's also going to dissolve towards people who are not going to make you happy for whatever reason. And we'll be going into types of toxicity and types of woundedness in the second petal. So you will be able to discern with your intuition as well as getting tools how to do this. But for now, just know that when you have that self-love, definitely right people will be magnetized. Number two, when you have self-love, you come to relationship from abundance rather than from lack. And what that means is that you can go from anxious and avoidant to a secure style of attachment. So when you love yourself and somebody is not writing to you or not texting you, what you are doing wonderful things for yourself naturally, instead of worrying why something is happening and worrying that somebody is not reaching out to you because you're not good enough. Again, avoidant type of behavior, which usually men display. So avoidant type of behavior is when somebody is so afraid of intimacy, so afraid to be connected to one person for life, that they are starting to avoid that person. Maybe you've encountered some men who it felt like they really loved you, but then all of a sudden they started pulling away when actually things got more intimate. Whoever had that experience, please raise your hand. And so that actually means that that man does not truly love himself. And even narcissists don't truly love themselves. What they need is constant approval of others. They really need to be loved by others. Okay, so sometimes we also display avoidant behavior. For example, when an emotionally available person starts to reach out, it might feel very, very scary. Or again, when somebody is trying to strangle us in a certain way, instead of putting a healthy boundary and speaking our needs, we start to get into an avoidant behavior. So when you have deep self-love, none of that is necessary. Then you just shift into the secure style of attachment. And secure style of attachment is when whatever is happening, you are not doubting yourself. You're not looking for approval from outside. You have full faith that whoever is destined to be with you and love you will be with you. You also have full faith that whoever really sees you deeply to the end is bound to love you, because at the end you are love and you are irresistible. So that security, feeling of that security, is what actually communicates your high value to a potential mate, a potential partner. You will also go from codependent and addicted to free. And so we will be also going deeper into codependence and addiction in the second petal. But again, let's just understand that codependent kind of relationship is a relationship of enmeshment. So when we really want to go into what I call a French kiss with a person 24/7, and sometimes it displays itself in the very first moments when we start communicating with someone online, for example. And all of a sudden, if you feel that pattern of rapid communication and enmeshment, usually that indicates predisposition towards codependency and addiction. So when you move from codependency and addiction into freedom, there is space in the relationship, and you can come in with space. You're holding the space, you're providing the space. And when there is a lot of space around you, that activates a chasing instinct, in a man as well, and also allows another person to feel really free and to feel that you really just see them for who they are, as opposed to seeing them for what they can give to you. All right. So self-love is important also because it ensures that you bring in positivity into the relationship. And of course, as a divine being, you're looking for another being who is going to reflect your divinity back at you. So when you come in with self-love and positivity, it's almost like you are building that child of a relationship in a loving way. You're bringing in that positivity, that confidence, instead of coming in with some kind of a lack, some kind of a doubt, some kind of a negativity or limitation. Okay. Self-love also ensures, as I said before, that the other does not feel trapped, right? So when you love yourself, again, you can create that space. You're secure, you create this space. And instead of that person occupying the major part in your consciousness, what occupies really the major part in your consciousness is your own connection to your higher self. So instead of focusing on a narrow goal, on one subject, on one person, and that always narrows our consciousness, when we have self-love, we are connected to the wholesomeness of the universe. We don't feel separate from others. Self-love includes love for the world, because the world is your reflection, the world is your mirror. So it's like you're looking into the world and you're seeing everything reflecting you in a certain way, especially into the world that you have chosen, that you've chosen to surround yourself with, whether it's your furniture, your clothing, your magnetic objects, people around you. And so as you see them as your reflections, and this is the card that we're working with today, mostly falling in love with the woman in the mirror. So when you're looking into the mirror, you're not only seeing yourself, you're also, the world is your mirror, the world around you. So the more love you can give to every part of your world, your forks, your knives, your food, the more love you're going to be getting back from your world. As you're cooking food, imagine that you're putting love into your own food and then you're eating it, right? And then you're getting that love back. So whatever you invest that love in, your inner lover comes out and she makes everything around herself magical. And then she can coagulate inside of her own magic and love. Okay, so self-love also ensures that you speak your needs and set your boundaries. And we will be talking about needs and boundaries more in depth today. How does it feel to speak your needs, to even know your needs? Because many women who were born into families where they became caretakers early on don't even know what their needs are. And sometimes we can even say, I don't have any needs. I really don't need anything. While in reality, there are needs, and it is very natural and normal to know them and to be able to communicate them in a loving way, in a loving but strict way. Setting boundaries, again, self-love allows you to set boundaries. Otherwise, what happens? It ensures that you don't accumulate resentment and act out later. So what happens when we are in the overwhelm? What happens when we are overgiving? What happens is that we start feeling stress in our body, our libido goes down, and we start accumulating resentment, while another person is not a mind reader. You know, maybe I'm a mind reader, but let's not assume that especially male figures are just reading your mind when you're boiling inside. They are usually not reading your mind. And in fact, they're often complaining. I don't understand women. Like they're saying it's the hardest thing to understand a woman. Why? Because a woman is sitting there boiling inside and he's asking her, so is everything okay? And you're going to say something passive aggressive like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And that way losing your desire for him as well. So we don't want that to happen. That's why self-love is so important. And obviously you put your mask with oxygen first, because that is the only way how you can actually be instrumental for the others. Because if you are drowning, it's not serving anyone. And also you're here for a long run. You're not here to to burn yourself out fast, right? There is a long life ahead of you. And by the way, sometimes I say something when a woman starts doubting her age, for example, and thinking, okay, like, I don't know, maybe I'm too old for this partner. So I don't believe in physical age. And I can tell you that a better question to ask is not how many years have you lived, but how many years do you have left. And so, and not just how many years do you have left, but how many bright, amazing, enthusiastic years do you have left. That is where the value is coming from. That is where what we should be looking at. Does it make sense? So for example, whatever you're setting for yourself right now, even in your mind, imagining, okay, I'm going to live another 30 years, 40 years, and just imagining them really bright and vibrant. And that is more of your age than anything that's in the past. You're not defined by your past. Okay. So the first point about self-love is radical responsibility. You remember our sorceress, radical responsibility. So the sorceress has this power to dispel and to spell her reality, but at the same time she has a responsibility. And you might have heard a saying of great sages that with great power comes great responsibility to use that power. And so the question is, and now we're going to go through through a series of self-reflection and some exercises before we go into the self-adoption ritual. So it is your responsibility to sometimes stop and reflect. This is your responsibility to your inner child, to your inner girl, to the one who was growing up and dreaming to be happy. And so that is your responsibility towards her, to sometimes stop and check in with yourself. Who am I? What is really happening? How am I really feeling? Like with everything that's happening around. The second one, your responsibility. Now, this is going to be a great concept that, again, we will be diving deeper into that concept later on in the course. And that concept is the concept of your mind. And so who ever heard this concept of monkey mind? If you've done yoga, yeah, raise your hand. Monkey mind, chatter mind, right? Like a lot of chatter in the mind. So the mind is like a horse. The mind is like a horse. The horse always wants to jump. The horse always wants to do some kind of action. That is the nature of the mind. We have the mind to solve problems. The mind loves problems. Sometimes if there is no problem, the mind is going to start coming up with problems. Has it happened to you? Let's say you're on vacation, you're laying on some kind of a beautiful, I don't know, bed and getting suntan. And this is the moment when you can actually really enjoy yourself. And all of a sudden you're coming up with problems, or all of a sudden you start planning for the future. And sometimes what happens, you're laying in somewhere, I don't know, Turks and Caicos or in Aruba, getting suntanned, and instead of being in the moment thinking, okay, well, next year I'm going to come here again, or next year I'm going to go somewhere else. Okay, so the mind likes to solve those problems. So the question arises, who is the master in the house? If you imagine that your consciousness is a house, and there are many different rooms in that house. Maybe there is a room where you rest by yourself. Maybe there is a room where in your house, in the house of your mind, where you have to sit down and really plan for the future and really use your rational mind. Maybe there is a room where you just go and get silly and play. Maybe there is some kind of a room where you just nurture yourself. And so there could be many different rooms, but who is the master in that house? You are the master in that house. And that is the responsibility that we need to take. So when we witness different kinds of thought forms that come in, when you are the master of the house, you can really, really work with them and question them and see if you need them. When you feel different kind of emotions coming through, again, who is the master? You are the master. You are NASA, you are the bride, and later on, feeling like a master in that house, you can hire candidates, you can fire candidates. That is where our dating is going to be coming from that place. You are the bride, you are the master. You are the master in your own house of your own mind. So also radical responsibility and within self-love is about how fast do you give up? How fast do you give up? And so sometimes when we come from lack and we come from those different beliefs that we can't do something, or something is not for me, or something, or that's too complicated, or that is, so the question is, with your mind, are you able to rationally assess how you can manage some kind of an achievement, or do you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have, no, that's not for me, I'm dropping that, I am dumping that. So being consistent with your words and actions and rationally assessing a situation is a feature of self-love. Very, very important. How well do you manage your life? So if your life was a company, would you be a good manager? Okay, would you be a good manager? So this is radical responsibility. So the next point that we need to look into is self-care. Self-care planner that we're going to be also diving in today. And there are different types of self-care. The first one is physical, emotional, spiritual, and then there is self-care within relationship patterns. So let's go into the physical self-care. And here's where I would like for you to take your pen and your paper, and we're going to do this self-assessment. Before we go into this and seeing what is coming up for you, I want to share the most important principle that we exercise in this program. And this principle is love it or fix it. Love it or fix it. So there are things that we cannot fix. There are things like that. And then there are things that we can fix. So sometimes there is an approach that coaches take that, yeah, whatever you are is total gold. Everything is great. You just need to love yourself as you are, as I am. Well, my first question to you is like, what does it mean as you are? Who are you? So as I am, as I am, like, does it mean that there is no flexibility there? Does it mean that you're not movable? Does it mean that you're insisting on being as you are while expecting somebody else to be adjusting and changing? So to me, who you are, and there could be a really deep meditation exploration just on that. Who are you? Who are you? When you're asking yourself, who am I? Who am I? And you have many roles to play, and you can define yourself as a woman, as a lover, as a daughter, maybe as a mother, as a coach, as a engineer, as a lawyer, whatever that is, as a real estate agent. But all of those things are just roles that you're playing, but who you're deeply, deeply inside. Who are you very, very deeply inside? What is not changeable? What is never going to change? Because when we define ourselves through our roles, let's say I'm a rich woman, and let's say we lose our wealth, then what? Oh my God, that's it. That's it. I'm a loser, right? So the better way to perceive yourself as something that is indestructible. What's indestructible in you? What's eternal? Yeah, who are you really deeply inside of yourself? And many women say when I ask them, so how would you like, what kind of a man would you like? And the woman would say, I want him to see me. And I always ask, like, to see you as what? What do you mean to see you? To see you which way? So to see me. So to see you as what? And the answer is, my love, to see me as love, to see me as my deepest essence, my deepest source. So who are you? You are love, and everything else you can either fix or love, and that's it. And it doesn't define you. So to me, if you're just doing affirmations that everything about you, the way it is right now, is going to stay, and somebody just needs to love your dirty socks or whatever, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. And the truth is that very often we doubt ourselves. Why? Because there is a certain part of us that does know that there is something where we are slacking and something could be fixed. Something could be better. So what I would like for you to do today, one of the things that we're doing is to separate those things into, so, and you can, with your pen and your paper, you can create a table, and on the left is going to be love it, and on the right it's going to be fix it. Okay, so and there are certain things that are totally fixable, and there are certain things which are not, and so we're going to love them. So in my own life, I really despise myself for not wanting to move my body, and I knew that I have very strong resistance towards weightlifting, for example, or gyms. I always felt like it's a very masculine thing, and so I decided that I have to fix it. I need to fix it. I don't want to just love myself like 30 pounds overweight. I could, but I decided not to. I decided I can fix it. And so I started doing belly dance. The manager in my house made that decision. And so that worked for me. There's so many other things. Love it or fix it. Let's say I'm afraid to sing in public. Do you want to just love that fear, or do you want to fix it? This is definitely something fixable. Definitely something fixable. So love it or fix it. This is going to be our inventory today. So here's the first question. Do I work too much? Yeah, do I work too much? So that is definitely one of the indications of lack of self-love. They work too much because, and I can tell you that sometimes I work with people who are super high executives who are running more than one company, not just one company, more than one company. And often high achieving people fall into that trap of the overwhelm. The truth is, my loves, the overwhelm usually happens because we are not good managers and we can't delegate. For some reason, we are afraid to delegate certain things. And we put a spell on ourselves that I can't delegate because I can't trust people, or we put a spell on ourselves, I don't know how to choose people. I am not like in my experience, I didn't choose the right people to delegate to. So if somebody had that belief or still has that belief, please raise your hand. But in reality, you don't have to do everything by yourself. In fact, to stay in your zone of genius and to stay in your zone of brilliance as a magical woman, it is very important to delegate certain tasks. So to manage your life better. And the reason why coaching is so much on the rise right now in this decade is because people are running themselves as a company. Everyone is so independent. There are so many resources. There are so many possibilities. So in order to run yourself efficiently, you almost have to be in that space. The question is not if you can afford delegating. The question is, can you afford not delegating? Whatever it is that you're doing. For example, if you're running a big household, maybe reaching out, getting some help, whatever it is you're doing. So I would like for you to see what is it that only you can do and what is it that can be delegated in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so that's the second thing about self-care on the physical level. The second one, do I move my body enough? All right, so I think many people are probably familiar with Tony Robbins. So Tony's big thing is always about change the action. The action changes emotions change thoughts. So moving your body, what does it do when we start moving? What it does is that it grounds us into the body, away from the dreams of our consciousness. Okay, so sometimes just to clear up the negativity, starting to move the body brings you into the reality of here and now. Yeah, brings you into the reality of where you are. So that is a great self-care. Not to mention, obviously, that when you move around, you get more oxygen, you exercise your muscles, your inner strength, your core strength, your flexibility, your spine, which is inherently connected with your youthfulness, as well as your mental and emotional flexibility. So do I move my body enough? And I, for example, discovered for me that for me to be super ecstatic and happy and blissful every day, I need to move my body 2 hours a day. Not just my body, maybe it's something else for you, but establish that. How does it feel? Try it. Try dancing for 2 hours and see what it makes you feel. And I bet that it's going to get you out of all of your spells and bring you into the vibrancy of life. The next one, do I eat like I love myself? Do I eat like I love myself? And I think that's a pretty simple question for you to answer. You're all very educated women and you know what's good for you. And when you're in touch with yourself, you also notice how food makes you feel. There is certain food that makes you feel sluggish, sleepy, um too comfortable. Yeah, that so the food should is medicine. The food is medicine. Does it make sense? So everything in nature is a continuation of our own consciousness, especially herbs and plants. So when we are intaking food, we are we are opening the doors for either medicine or poison. As my grandmother used to say, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're putting garbage in, you're not going to be glowing. Your skin tone is going to be dull. Your eyes are going to be dull. So as you are intaking that food, don't think that it's just going through you. It becomes you at a certain point. At a certain point, it becomes you. So this is a great question to ask yourself. Do I dress like I love myself? Or do I keep delaying my beauty to some special occasion? So even if you are alone right now, maybe spending some time in your home, dressing yourself to impress yourself, wow, that is an incredible possibility of practice of self-love, just dressing yourself in a certain way. And I also want to tell you that when those things start to happen, people can feel it through ether. People can feel it long distance, what is happening with you, how you're accumulating that juju, that magic, those special, what it's called in Ayurveda, ojas, those particles of light. All of this is feeding those particles of light. So and the last one, as we already went through, do I unclutter like I love myself? Like I love myself. Okay, so love it or fix it, we wrote it down. Fantastic. Let's go into emotional self-care. Now this is very, very important, and we'll be going deeper into the feelings as we go into our petal leading with the feminine. So, do I stop and dare to feel? So, I want to tell you that one time I was in a shamanic ceremony in Peru, and I thought I was all that. And I was thinking all positive, and I was very helpful, and I was overgiving probably at that time, as I used to, as usual, and taking care of people. But I was thinking, oh my God, I'm this like total healer star. Everything is amazing. And then I come to the shaman, and she tells me, Luba, stop this show, feel your real feelings. And I thought, what do you mean feel my real feelings? So I think I am feeling my real feelings, but in reality, no, I was not feeling my real feelings. Those feelings were so buried that even my subconscious was not allowing me to feel them. They were so buried under. So daring to feel is a great courage. Daring to feel, yeah, if you're angry, owning that holy anger. If you are sad, sitting with the sadness, trusting that the sadness is going to pass, having those tools. Who is the master in the house? Breathing through the sadness, breathing through whatever emotion comes through, allows you to dare to feel. What is faith? Faith is about believing that the nauseousness is going to go away. That's faith. Okay, so do I stop and dare to feel? That's number one, emotional self-care. Because if you don't allow yourself to feel what is really happening, who else is going to know what you're feeling? You definitely can't expect another person to feel that for you, especially a guy or another partner. You need to know what it is that you're feeling. Number two, do I take care of others more than I take care of myself? So this, everyone knows if that's true for you. Love it or fix it. Love it or fix it. I definitely suggest to fix that. Can I say no without fear? Can I just say no? Can I say no without fear? Right? That's emotional self-care. Uh, do I express my needs? Do I express my needs really? Okay. So what I would like for you to do right now is remember your face when you were little. That face, innocent face, the face of innocence. There are different terms for that being inside. Sometimes it's called inner child. Sometimes it's called your feeling self. So that feminine inside is tender. Like, think about a pearl. A pearl can grow inside of a shell because it is protected. Tenderness, as well as feminine energy, needs that protection in order to thrive, in order to blossom. So I would like for you to connect to the needs of that deep feminine, to the needs of that inner child. And when we think about overwhelm or working yourself too hard or not giving yourself enough space for things, like I would like for you to reflect on those needs. And I'm going to ask you about those needs after we go through the whole emotional self-care as well as spiritual self-care. So start thinking about that, okay, about your needs. Am I allowed to change my mind? That's a big one. So sometimes it feels like, wow, if you said something that you can't change your mind, feminine can change your mind. It's all right. Maybe not 100 times because that drives people crazy. But in general, being able to change your mind shows again that you respect your feelings, you assess your energy level, and you are protecting your feminine. You're protecting that feeling self inside. So, for example, if you're on a date and you already decided, and he said, all right, let's do something else after dinner, and you said, okay, and then let's say the dinner is over, and all of a sudden your energy dropped, you have a right to say, well, actually, I'd prefer if we met next week. My mom used to say that a woman has a right to change her mind in the middle of the intercourse. Okay. So, yes, you can change your mind. You can change your mind when you are respectful of your own energy levels and your own state of abundance. Do I ignore repeated bad signs? Okay. This is very important emotional self-care. So one of the things when we start doubting ourselves, when we start losing self-trust is when we already know what's happening. We can already feel it. We can smell it. We can smell it in the wind, but we're ignoring those signs. So if that's ever happened to you, again, love it or fix it. Would you like to fix it? And would you like to be radically honest with yourself and look at the bad signs as they're coming in? And if you are able to commit to that, to commit to seeing those bad signs, that is another protection for you. Then you will know, okay, well, maybe I can open up to this possibility, but if I see bad signs, I can always change my mind. So that's an extra protection for you, extra self-care. Do I engage in black and white thinking? That's a big one. Okay, my loves, black and white thinking. Oh, this is the best person in the world. Oh, that is the worst person in the world. Nobody is good or bad. There is none of that. Everything is always on the spectrum. The same way when you talk about yourself, when you talk to yourself, how you talk to yourself, and when you give yourself labels, for example, again, always ask yourself, is this black and white? Am I in black and white? Am I idealizing things, or am I completely just throwing them and feeling that somebody is a really bad person, let's say an abuser or criminal or whatever that is. So deeper feminine wisdom is always about recognizing that black and white thinking is only an option. I mean, it would be black and white thinking to completely eliminate black and white thinking. I guess there are some times that black and white thinking could be useful, for example, in the times of danger, right? Then you go to black and white when it's really dangerous. But in general, in regular life, it is so much more merciful to get out of that thinking. Are my words and actions in congruency? So when I say something to myself, do I act upon it? Why is this so important to keep your word to yourself, to finish your projects? Because that helps you develop self-respect. So when you already said something and you delivered to yourself, you said you delivered, you said, I'm doing this project, I'm finishing it, and you finished. That is growing your self-confidence. Okay, that grows your self-confidence, because really it is the success that is repeated over time that grows your self-confidence, and that grows your self-respect. So this is very important. Emotional self-care. Let's go to spiritual self-care. This is very important. Do I exercise gratefulness daily? Again, what I would love for you to do is to start your day on your own terms. Spiritual practitioners of many centuries already knew that if you wake up early, for example, or if you wake up and you don't immediately rush into some kind of do action oriented situation, or something that is imposed to you from outside world, that means again that you are the master in the house. So if you wake up and you do certain things for yourself, even if it's a very little thing, that thing, and sometimes an excuse can be, oh, I'm in such a rush, I have to run somewhere right away. But the truth is, anything can be done on your terms, even 3 conscious breaths. Even 3 conscious breaths, if they happen in the morning, even if you wake up and you say, thank you, God, Goddess, for making me a human being, or for thank you for my life, even that, you started your day on your own terms as you wake up. Yeah. Do I surround myself with inspiring people? That's a big one. Okay. So the inspiration, of course, the best inspiration happens when it just comes from your higher self and your connection with the universe at large, and your compassion and recognition, just how much can be done in the world, and the inspiration can be coming from that place. Also, great inspiration comes from your own journey, from your own pain that you've experienced in the world, and maybe this is something that makes you passionate, and you feel like, yeah, this is something that needs to be changed, and inspiration can come from that. But also inspiration can come from opening up to receive things that the world has to offer. And right now with the internet, YouTube, and so many different sources, again, really surround yourself with those inspiring ideas, with art, definitely. And art specifically is created for inspiration, to connect you to the great spirit, to connect you to something bigger than you are. So see if this is happening in your life, or you need to fix it. Okay. Starting the day on your own terms, and ending your day on your own terms. So ending, I also want to show for a second, I want to show you how I do it. Let me stop sharing the screen. So ending your day on your own terms is very important. Again, there was one time then I was in medicine ceremony, in shamanic ceremony, and I asked the medicine, how can I love myself better? I was on that quest as well. And the spirit of the medicine told me, you should start loving yourself right now. And I said, how do I do that? And at that time, I was in a very expanded high spirit state when I experienced myself as my higher self. And the spirit of the medicine led me to touch my own face with great love. And I did it right there. And I started touching my face with great love. And my body, and my hand was the hand of my high spirit. And then the medicine said, well, now get into your body. And then I experienced as my body, I experienced my own loving hand. And that's when I realized that this self-love can also be exercised through loving touch towards yourself, towards your own body. So what I started doing every evening as I'm falling asleep, whether I'm falling asleep alone or not, I would put my hands on my body and touch myself with that love every evening, just like this, just like, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for everything you've experienced. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Like, I really love you so much. And just feel how your loving hands feel on your body. Maybe your loving hands were always on other people. Maybe you don't even know what it feels like to be loved by your own loving hands. Maybe you don't know what your loving touch even feels like. But this is definitely a wonderful end of the day ritual, again, which can take 5 seconds. It can take 10 seconds. If you want to go deeper into that, it could be a whole like hour of loving yourself. But in reality, that kind of self love ritual is definitely going to change your dreams. It's going to change the way you wake up. It is also a wonderful practice to do some self reflection as you're falling asleep, to see how your day went, to see like really what you were going through this day, because that makes your life rich and makes your consciousness bright. Another very important, mm, again, love it or fix it. Would you like to fix that? Would you like to do that? Write it down, please, in your tables. And the last one, the spiritual self-care, is maybe the most important one. It is the spirit day. So in some religions, it is called Shabbat. In other religions, it's Sunday when we go to church. But there is this one day, and it's nice when it's one day in a week, one day out of 7 days, when you completely unplug from all the hassle and to-do lists of what is happening in your life and get in touch with the eternal things, which is like really the only important things for your soul. Because at the end of the day, everything you've done and everything that is still on your to-do list is not ever going to go away. There is always going to be a to-do list. It's an illusion to think that, so I'm just going to do this to-do list and it's going to disappear. It's not going to disappear. It's not. Does it make sense? There's always going to be something to do. And if there is nothing to do, you're going to make it up. So in that case, let's get out of that illusion. Again, the master in the house is a good manager. That master in the house does not believe in illusions. It has a sword, right? It dispels the illusions. And so just looking at yourself and having that one day for yourself without technology would be great. And also that, what is it? It's a boundary. That is a very, very strong boundary that you are setting within yourself for the world, and you're commanding the world to interact with you this way. When you say to all these different people, yeah, that's my spirit day. Yeah, I'm not working. That's my spirit day. My thoughts go inward. That's my spirit day. I ride my horse. That's my spirit day. I write my poetry. I play my guitar. I dance. I pray. I walk. Whatever it is that you do. So that one day, and it might feel like it takes up time, but in reality, what really happens is when we don't get back in touch with that deep source and we just constantly on the go, we start spinning and it stops being efficient. So going backwards to the origin, to the source once a week actually is going to increase your productivity. Just like waking up and doing a small little ritual, connecting back to yourself. And as you're falling asleep, hopefully listening to one of our meditations and also giving love to your body. it might feel like it takes time, but in reality, at the end of the day, it gives time also. Why? Because when you're connected to your higher self, you make better decisions. Then it's easier for you to discern what you need and what you really don't need, which brings us back to the needs. So now that you've made that list, okay, what you're going to love, what you're going to fix, this is the moment when I would like for you to concentrate on your needs and what is it that you need. And again, you, when I say you right now, I am talking to your tender self. I'm talking to the self that is feeling, to the self that is subtle, to the self that likes to breathe, that likes to play, that kind of self. What are your needs? So please write down those needs. Let's limit it to 5 major needs right now. All of the ideas of self-care that you just heard, whatever it is that you feel like you need. And I'm going to now teach you how to express your needs in a relationship in a way that will only increase intimacy. So, step number 1, when you're speaking to another person, whoever that person is, it could be a partner, it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a friend, you can say, "Thank you so much for being there for me." Start like that. "Thank you so much for being in my life. I know you want me to be happy." Obviously, they want you to be happy, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be keeping them around as a magnetic woman that you are. "I know you want me to be happy. Thank you so much for that. Would you be open if I told you something that would make me even more happy?" Would you be open if I told you something that would make me even more happy? And most likely they would say yes. And if they say no, not right now, you can say, "Well, let me know when you're open to hear that feedback." By the way, if the person is never open to hear that feedback, well, maybe there is no place for that person in your life. And in fact, I also want to share that, um, well, here in this magical program and in the goddess tradition, we really like the rule of 3. So if there are 3 times you're giving a possibility for that person to give them feedback in a loving way, and 3 times they are not open, that's that. And we'll be talking more about when we are inviting men to step up and all of that. It's going to be always the rule of 3. Okay. And then you speak your needs. And then you say, "Well, this is what I need. This is what I need. This is what I need." And when you say something that you need, and you're going to practice it right now, when you say something that you need, what's important is that you are not you're using nonviolent language, which is not about like, "I need you to do this and that. I need you to call me twice a day. I need you to take the garbage out." Instead of that, you would say something like, "I need to be checked in twice a day. I need to feel that the kitchen is taken care of, that the garbage situation is taken care of." That's a non-violent way of speaking, which is going to eliminate resistance in another person. And that's also why we're starting with gratitude. Because when you come in with gratitude, the other person doesn't have to resist. When you come in, like, and let me show you a different scenario. So here you are, overgiving, overwhelmed, that resentment is accumulating, your feminine is depleted, you can't hold it anymore, and then you explode, and then you start screaming and you go, "You never do this or that for me, never you." So that is a very unconscious way, unsuccessful way of communicating. Instead of, "Here I am, I respect my feelings, I feel my body, I know my energy levels, I am responsible for the management of those energy levels, it's me. I'm responsible. I'm responsible to communicate my needs. It's my responsibility to do that in a non-violent, loving, and strict way. Okay, you see that, Gold? You see that difference? All right, so let's train that. Let's do breakout rooms, and then when you come back, we will do our self-adoption ritual. Any questions on this? Questions? No? Okay, clear? Fantastic. Yeah, so that technique, which is called vulnerable share, is priceless. That technique will completely change all of your relationships. It's a very beautiful and conscious and empowered way